21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. Greetings, fellow literary explorers! Our journey into the wonders of pre-colonial literature is about to unfold, promising an exciting adventures through the diverse realms of the Philippines and beyond. In this literary adventure, we'll explore a rich tapestry of stories, from the timeless tales predating colonial influences to the voices that shape pre-colonial Philippine literature. The era before colonization laid the foundation for unique narratives, embodying the rich heritage and traditions of the islands. Get ready for a vibrant exploration of genres, styles, and themes from this era, whether it's a mythical epics, intimate expression of ancient relationships, or the timeless wisdom inherent in oral traditions. Our expedition promises a treasure trove of insights into the pre-colonial world. So fasten your seatbelts, open your minds, and join us as we embark on this thrilling adventure through the wonders of pre-colonial literature. Let the journey commence. Pre-colonial period, early times to 1564. The roots of the Philippine literature can be tracked back to the pre-colonial period. Literature in this area is any literature which existed before the Spaniards entered the Philippine soil. The only way to transmit knowledge during the pre-colonial period was acquired through observation, imitation, and practice. There was no formal education. Children were taught to read and write by their parents. Pre-colonial literature, houses were typically constructed using lightweight and locally sourced materials. Indigenous architectural designs varied across regions, adapting to the environment and climate. Nipa palm leaves, bamboo, rattan, and cogon grass were commonly used for the walls and roofs, allowing for natural ventilation. Houses were raised in stilts to protect against flooding and pests, and flexible structures harmonized the tropical surroundings. This resourceful construction approach showcased the indigenous people's deep understanding of their environment and their ability to create functional, sustainable, and dwellings suited to their way of life. Now, let's proceed to the clothing during the pre-colonial in the Philippines. For the male clothing, we have kangan. It is an upper part clothing, and it is also a jacket with short sleeves. While for the lower part, we have bahag. It is a lower part clothing, and it is a strip of cloth wrapped around the waist and between the legs. For the female clothing, we have baro o kamisa. It is an upper part clothing, and it is also a jacket with short sleeves. For the lower part clothing, we have patadjong o saya. It is a woven tube skirt made from fiber of cloth. While for tapis, it is a rectangular piece of cloth worn around the waist. Tagalog and Visayan bound their temples and forehead with a putong or a gearhead. It is a narrow of strips of cloths. They also wore gold jewelries and other accessories to beautify their bodies. Now, let's proceed to the social classes during the pre-colonial. First, we have the upper class, which are the nobles. They held political power and were considered the ruling elite and privileges. They occupied the highest class, and they were usually addressed as gat, lakan, raha, or datu. Next, we have the timawa. They were the pre-commoners or middle class. They were skilled farmers, artisans, and warriors. They were sometimes chosen as local leaders. The last one is the alipin or slaves. It is also classified into two. The first one is alipin namamahay. They were not full-fledged slaves. They had their own respective families and their own houses. They were required to serve their masters only during planting and harvesting period. The second one is the aliping sa gigilid. They were the real slaves. They were homeless, forbidden to form their own families, and were requested to stay in their masters' dwelling as they could be used as a payment of debt. During the government system in pre-colonial period, the government was called barangay. There was no national government. There were many independent barangays in Datu, but there was no strong enough to unite the archipelago into one nation. Some barangays, however, united to form a confederation. It was headed or ruled by a Datu or Raha. There are 5 power and functions of a Datu. The first one is implementing laws, maintaining peace and order, giving protection to his subjects. He also made the law with the assistance of a group of elders who gave advice. It is a newly enacted law that was made known to the public through the town crier called Malokohan. And lastly, he acted also as a judge during trial. It was easy for the Datu to run for the barangay since the population was very small. Ancient Filipinos practiced of paying taxes for the protection they received from the Datu. Collected tax was called buwis. Family members of the Datus were enjoying pre-taxes. Non-payment of taxes is punishable during the period. Alliances among barangays were formed. Purpose of alliances was for trade, peace, and mutual protection. It was sealed through a blood compact or sanduguan to ensure conformity, sincerity, and commitment of the chieftains. During the trial determination and guilt in pre-colonial, judicial process was influenced by the religion. Holding lighted candles by suspected offenders, the man whose candle died out first would be declared as the culprit. Ordering the suspects to plunge into the deep river with their lances, the first one to come out on the surface would be judged as the guilty party. Suspected wrongdoer would be made to chew uncooked rice. If the rice was swallowed easily, it was believed that the person was innocent. If the rice caused choking or discomfort, it was seen as a sign of guilt. During the pre-colonial in the Philippines, the man was required to give a dowry. It is a wealth that the groom's family should give to the bride or her family as part of the arrangement. The first one is bigay kaya. It is a type of dowry consisted of a piece of land or gold. Second one is himaraw. It is the groom's parents' gift as a payment for raising the bride during infancy period. The third one is panghimuyat. This is the groom's parents' gift. While the last one is bigay suso. This is a bride's wet nurse who received a share of dowry. Mixed marriage were not common. It was common to the couples belonging to different social classes. Early Filipinos practiced divorce. There are 4 several grounds of divorce. These are adultery, abandon on the part of the husband, cruelty, and insanity. Pre-colonial religious beliefs. The first one is Bathala or Supreme Being. The second one is Idianali or God of Agriculture. The third one is Sidapa or God of Death. The next one is Agni or God of Fire. Balangao or God of Rainbow. Mandarangan, God of War. Lalahon, God of Harvest. While the last one is Siginarugan or God of Hell. Pre-colonial superstitious beliefs. Natives believed in aswang, duwende, kapre, mangkukulam, tikbalang, and tiyanak. Pre-colonial ornaments. The natives wore ornaments made of gold and precious stones. Women, including men, wore armlets, leglets, bracelets, gold rings, and earrings. Putting tattoos in their body was practiced. Males having tattoos were admired because it signified bravery and war. They also inserted gold teeth as an ornament. Pre-colonial education. The purpose of education was for survival. Their father taught males on hunting, fishing, agriculture, and etc., while mothers in managing the household taught females. pre-colonial languages. Tagalog, Ilocano, Pangasinan, Kapampangan, Cebuanon, Hiligaynon, Maguindanao, and Samarno. They also had their system of writing. It was called Baybayin o Alibata. It was a script developed by the Tagalog people utilizing charades to represent syllables employed for inscriptions and artistic expressions. Now, let's go to the pre-colonial literary genres and Philippine literature. Literary genre is a category of literary composition. Genres may be determined by literary techniques, tone, content, or even as in the case of fiction length. The distinction between genres and categories are flexible and loosely defined, often with subgroups. The most general genres in literature are epic, tragedy, comedy, and creative nonfiction. They can all be in the form of prose or poetry. Additionally, a genre such as satire, allegory, post-real might appear in any of the above, not only as a subgenre, but as a mixture of genres. They are also defined by the general cultural movement of the historical period in which they were composed. Genres should not be confused with age categories. Literature may be classified as either adults, young adults, or children. They also must not be confused with format such as graphical novel or picture book. Literary genres in the Philippines. The diversity of Philippine literature evolved in lockstep with the country's illustrious past. Its topics are founded in the pre-colonial cultural traditions of the Philippines and the social-political histories of its colonial and modern ways. However, numerous Filipinos are inexperienced with historical literature owing to what we have thought that our country was found. And so, Philippine history began in March 1521. We now have a better understanding of our pre-colonial period because to the exhaustive work of our archaeologists, anthropologists, and ethnologists. It is established again a wealth of materials pertaining to early Filipinos as chronicled by historical chronicles. Pre-colonial Filipinos verbally express a wealth of lived experiences through folk songs, speeches, songs, narratives, and indigenous rituals. These are transmitted through generations. Among the prevalent are riddles, proverbs, songs, chants or bulong, epic, myths, legends, fables, and folktales. Riddle or bugtong. It is made up of one or more measured lines with rhymes and may consist of 4 to 12 syllables. It showcases the Filipino wit, literary talent, and keen observation of the surroundings. It also involves reference to 1 or 2 images that symbolize the characteristics of a unknown object that is to be guessed. Metaphor is evident in this genre because it reveals subtle comparisons between the similar object. The purpose of bugtong is to entertain, to educate, to titillate, to curse without expressly cursing, and to preserve culture. I have 2 examples here of bugtong. The number 1 example is, ate mo, ate ko, ate ng lahat ng tao. The answer is atis. The second example is, I'm tall when I'm young, and I'm short when I'm old. What am I? The answer is candle. Now, let's go to the second literary genre, which are salawikain and sawikain. The proverbs or salawikain are nuggets of wisdom that shows the community's norm and beliefs and values. These are epigrams, maxims, or proverbs. Short poem that has been customarily been used and served as laws or rules on good behavior by our ancestors. Allegories or parables that impart lessons for the young, often expressing a single idea that is usually satirical and had a witty ending. Idioms or sawikain are the words that do not impart the real meaning. Maxims or kasabihan are short phrase that expresses an idea that most people believe to be true or true. It is often said to give advice or information about a person's life and experience. It also has a rhyming couplets in 5, 6, or 8 syllables. I have here an example of salawikain, which is magbiro ka lang sa lasing, wag lang sa bagong gising. While for sawikain, I have here bukas ang palad means matulungin, while lantang gulay means sobrang pagod. While for maxim, I have here nanalo ka ng ilan, nataulo mo ang ilan. This means defeat doesn't last forever. The next literary genre is bulong or chants. Bulong or chants was used in witchcraft or enchantments, gratitude, excuse, apology to unpin other elemental spirits our forefathers believed in, and to protect them from harm and danger. Example of this is, dagang malaki, dagang maliit, heto ang ngipin kong sira, sana ibigyan mo ng bagong kapalit. Now, let's talk about folk song. The folk song expresses the hopes, aspirations, lifestyle, as well as their loves. It has a repetitive and sonorous, didactic, and naive style. It is inspired by the reaction of the people to their environment. Folk songs or awit ng bayan are songs with lines often described as repetitive, didactic, and sonorous. The following are examples of famous Filipino folk songs: Magtani May Dibiro at Dandansuy. Lullaby. This is a type of folk song. These are soothing songs often sung to put babies to sleep. Example of this is Ili Ili Tulog Anay. Serenade or harana are courtship songs used by young men to capture the heart of the girl they love. Folktales or kwentong bayan are stories about the personification of nature, their devotion to a deity, and how the deity is accountable for blessings and curses in the shape of natural disasters. Epics are lengthy narratives recounting noble deeds. Darangin in Maranao, Aliguyon in Hudhud, Ifugao and Ibalon in Bicol are examples. There are 6 features of folk epics. The first one is narratives of sustained land. The second one is based on oral tradition. The third one is revolving around supernatural events or heroic deeds. The next one is in the form of verse, also either chanted or sung. And lastly, with a certain seriousness of purpose, embodying or validating the beliefs, customs, ideals, or life values of the people. Myths. Myths are derived from the Philippine folk literature, which is the traditional oral literature of the Filipino people. This refers to a wide range of materials due to the ethnic mix of the Philippines. There are many different creation myths in the Philippine mythology, originating from various ethnic groups. Examples are the story of Bathala, the legend of Maria Makiling, Aswang, Tila, Diwata, Duwende, Tikbalang, Mangkukulang. Legend. It is a form of prose which explains the origin of things, the common theme of which is about the origin of thing, place, location, or name. The events are imaginary, devoid of truth, and unbelievable. Its aim is to entertain. Example of this is Legend of Tagalog, Legend of Maria Makiling, Legend of Mayon, Legend of Sambaguita, and etc. Fables. Fables are short stories written for indigenous Filipino children. They are most likely about superhuman or remarkable persons and take the type of narration demonstrating a helpful truth. Animals are used as characters in the stories to represent a certain feature or characteristic. Ang Kuneho at ang Pagong is one of the most often orally related Filipino stories. Tanaga. Tanaga is a quatrain with 7 syllables. It is a type of Filipino poem. It can also have rhymes such as AABB and ABAB. Example of Tanaga is sa puso'y bitbit ng lihim, pag-ibig na di mabilang, mga titig nagtataglay, di lang walang kasing linaw. Now we have the last, which is Ambahan. It is a traditional poetry of the Hanuno Mangyans of Oriental Mindoro, which is normally inscribed on bamboo using a pre-colonial syllabic writing system called the Surat Mangayan. It has 7 metric lines and can be composed of more than 4 lines that are usually chanted to teach lessons about life. It is recited by parents to educate their children, by the youth to express their love, by the old to impart experiences, or by the community in tribal ceremonies, and on some occasions like burial rites, the ambahan is used for entertainment. One of the examples of ambahan is, "Kay sarap na balikan ang kahapong nagdaan, sa aming kanayunan ng aming kabataan. Simple ang buhay namin, tahanan at pagkain, hindi ko lilimutin kundi pagyayamanin." How about yours? What's your examples?